Hello, and welcome back to the 10-Minute Professional, the podcast designed to help you navigate the political landscape of the corporate world while maintaining your sanity and hopefully not becoming a soulless monster. My name is Gabe, I am your host, and I believe personal and professional development should happen around the clock. Time is money, and money's needed for life. So let's not waste any time, get to work so we can get back to focusing on our lives. If you attended school in the United States, at some point, you likely got asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd suspect this is common in other parts of the world, but I've lived in the US of A my whole life. This is tangential to the inquiry referred to in today's title. One of the most important questions I believe a manager can ask and should be able to answer themselves is, if you could do anything in the world professionally, what would it be and why? However, it's important to apply some guardrails when posing this philosophical inquiry, given the corporate environment where everything exists to protect the business alone. The crux of this inquiry isn't to figure out an individual's hopes and dreams. Rather, it's to get them to expand upon the why. If your answer to that question is, I really want to be an actor, or I want to be an electrical engineer, or something completely different from what you do now, then I pose to you the most important question a manager can ask. Why? What specifically do you find interesting about that day-to-day of this hypothetical new role? My goal is to be an artist, and one day start a nonprofit centered around edutainment content. But in this hypothetical, let's focus on corporate roles, which should always be your answer when discussing your career in the office. For example, if Bob Iger contacted me and said tomorrow I can have any professional career at Disney, along with enough of a lead time to get familiar with the intricacies of a new role, I would choose a creative executive type job on something like Star Wars. I'll be the first person to admit I do not work in the media or entertainment industries, but I am cognizant of precisely why this type of role appeals to me. I know at my core the things I am most passionate about: representation in media, opportunity for those who are traditionally underrepresented, seeing creative and artistic visions realized. These are all things not easily measured on a resume. That being said, I'd expect a high-level creative executive role, something like being an advisor to someone like Dave Filoni, who is heavily involved with creative, to be responsible for ensuring deadlines are met. The creative vision of someone like a Dave Filoni is realized through the practicalities of the real world, such as set design, budget, timelines, schedules, and all that kind of fun stuff. If I had to work in a corporate environment, I know I would find that level of ambiguity, spontaneity, and self-management intriguing. No 2 days would ever be alike. Every step taken, whether it be a set or a costume choice or a specific word written in a script, would be under scrutiny by a potential audience of millions. This means ensuring pacing works both on script and on camera, dialogue sounds authentic to characters, and most importantly, keeping that potential audience, which is varied across all demographics, in mind at all times. I don't mention my reasoning because I think it's so interesting. I mention it because I know what appeals to me about a certain type of work, from both a high-level strategic and day-to-day tactical level. Self-awareness is a critical skill to develop, and discussing the what and why behind our interests is a great way to help cultivate that in others, and can help us foster it in ourselves. Additionally, questions such as these give us insight into how another individual's mind works. As a manager and colleague, this can be tremendously beneficial in ensuring alignment between where someone's skill set is best suited and their personal interests. I believe people are an organization's greatest asset, so establishing a professional, efficient, and welcoming culture is always a top priority of mine. Getting to know people helps establish trust and provides a more clear picture of who they are as a human. Believe it or not, I have found that treating people like humans and not office drones can prevent battle lines from being drawn in the sand and slowing down progress. Put simply, the most important question we should ask others and be able to answer ourselves is why. I've worked with people from all over the globe at different points in their careers, both as clients and colleagues. One of the most pronounced generational differences I've observed, and please bear in mind this is a generalization and does not apply to every single human, is an unwillingness to ask that specific question, why? An old adage called the 3 whys says we need to be able to address that question at 3 different levels to get to the root cause of an issue, and it's a well-known process for a reason. That being said, in multiple industries, at various levels in the corporate hierarchy, I've observed when a task gets passed down, and here comes another 1000% generalized statement that I alluded to previously, I've noticed people from different generations accept that task without question. Now please, don't misunderstand. This is a podcast aimed at current and hopeful working professionals, so my advice isn't to just question every single menial task you're assigned in the workplace. You're going to get assigned them, and it's going to be annoying. We agree to play a role in an organizational hierarchy when we join a company. That's the social and sometimes legally binding contract we commit to. However, regardless of role, the question why can provide valuable context, identify a potential weak point in a process, refocus a conversation, and if you're really lucky, it can keep busy work off your plate. I've been in strategic planning sessions with executives and their staff where the question why, followed up with a statement such as, how does this meet our objective? And can you explain how implementing X solves for the core problem of Y? Caused the entire conversation to pause. To me, that's not a good sign, but that's a topic for another discussion. I believe it's the role of a director or a senior manager in a corporate environment to ask why, so they can then translate the strategic objectives handed down into broad tactical operations for others to implement. I believe it's the role of a frontline manager to ask why to ensure they understand how individual contributors will be impacted by any changes. If I was an individual contributor reporting to a manager, I need to ask why because I'm the one on the front lines every day. And it's certainly possible that those higher up in the echelon may not understand how things operate on the day-to-day. That's completely understandable. It's not their job. If we cannot answer the simple question of why something is happening inside the workplace, I'd suspect confusion, frustration, and possibly disillusionment may result. That being said, we can't lose sight of the fact that we're dealing with people and understanding how their minds work, what they value, what skills they excel in, and opportunities for improvement exist enables the organization to operate as efficiently as possible. Self-awareness is one of the most important skills we can develop, not just as working professionals, but as human beings. Asking why can help us get there and ensure you're aligned with those around you. I look forward to our next discussion, and I hope you stay happy, healthy, positive, and above all, confident.